Hey, it's Jess. Welcome back. Today I'm here with another Way Back Wednesday where I will be talking about all the books that I read in August of 2021. Looking back at my Goodreads, I read a total of 12 books that month. I will only be talking about 11 of them because one of the books was published by St. Martin's Press and the boycott is still ongoing against basically free advertising for St. Martin's Press, so I won't be talking about that book. One reason I read so many books this month is because Jordaline Reads here on YouTube hosts a yearly readathon called the Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon. I don't know if she's still doing it. I know she did last year, but I think she took a year off a few years ago. Anyway, I heard about that, and so it's a week-long readathon that had 7 prompts, and I, even though I wasn't on YouTube or doing social media with books, I participated in that readathon. And so 7 of the books were for that readathon. Unfortunately, the book that I read for one of the prompts is the book that was published by St. Martin's Press, so I will not be talking about that book. The first book that I finished for the readathon was Shiver by Junji Ito. The prompt was to read a horror manga. I had never read anything by Junji Ito, but I'd heard a lot about him. I have read a few of his other things now. Shiver is a collection of short stories, and they're comics because that's what a manga is. Yeah, this was an interesting foray into Junji Ito's work. I had never read anything like this. I liked it. I think I liked most of the stories. Some of them I still think about. And the art was beautiful because it was so graphic. I don't know what else to say. I really enjoyed that book. It's a collection of short stories and I really liked it. And I went on to read more of his manga because I liked the illustrations so much. The next book I read fulfilled the prompt to read a book by a BIPOC author, and I read The Taking of Jake Livingston. This is a young adult horror book that I'd been hearing a lot about. I'm really glad I read it. You are following a boy named Jake, and he can see ghosts. But I think he calls them ghouls. He also sees ghosts, but he also sees ghouls, which are like bad, evil ghosts. They're targeting someone in his school, I think. He goes to a private school. I'm pretty sure, one of the only black kids there. And he's trying to figure out why the ghosts and the ghouls are targeting his school and a specific person, I believe. I don't remember. Again, I read it 3 years ago, but I really liked it when I read it. If you like young adult horror, I think this would be a good place to start. Part of it was creepy, but it wasn't super scary, but the writing was beautiful. I really liked this book. The next book for the readathon was to read a book that you had never heard anyone on YouTube or social media talk about, and I picked up The Infernal Parade by Bob Eggleton and Clive Barker. Clive Barker, did like Hellraiser and he's a famous author and a famous horror movie person. And so I picked it up because I was just at the library and I was like, never heard of this one before. I found out after I read it, very short story, and it is basically just like biographies about characters that I think were actually action figures in this like toy collection called The Infernal Parade. I think. And I can't even remember if they all went together, like in the end, they all were like tied together somehow. I don't remember. I read it because I'd never heard anyone talk about it, and I don't remember anything about it, and I don't suggest you read it. The next book I read was a translated horror book, and I read Hex by Thomas Oldhufeld. I'm not sure if that's how you say his name. It is, I believe, Dutch originally. And again, it's a translated horror. It is about this town where there is a witch that basically like stalks the town, and she shows up anywhere. She just shows up, and the world doesn't know about her. And so basically, once you live in this town, you're there. Like if you're born in the town, you stay in the town. No one in the world can know about the witch. And you're just reading about this town where this witch is like terrorizing them. She's a dead witch. I don't remember. She's in chains and sewn together, stuff like that. It was creepy. I really liked it. Yeah, I enjoyed that. And I had been hearing a lot about it, so I was glad that I had a chance to read it. The next book for the readathon I read was a book by a LGBTQIA plus author. I read The Bright Lands by John Fram. This is a story about a town where football is super big in the town. Someone comes back, someone like a boy has left the town and is coming back, and I don't really remember a lot of it. Again, I really liked it. I just read so many books, I can't remember all of them. I remember really liking this. I remember the end, like the twist on the end, but I don't really remember the rest of the story. But it was about football, but not about football because I don't really like football. So I enjoyed this book. I think it was about basically like this town does anything for its football players, and like the coach and everything like that. And you're trying to figure out why. I don't really remember, but I did like the book and I suggest you read it. I just don't remember what it was about. The last book I read for the readathon was a horror novel based on a true event or a true crime novel. And I chose The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty because it was based on a true story, actual events. I know that The Exorcist is like really loosely based on a real story, but it is based on a true story, and that's why I chose it for this prompt. And I saw it at the library. And I actually ended up listening to it as an audiobook because it was on my library app. I really liked this one. It was very creepy. And now, having read the book and seen the movie, I mean, I'd seen the movie before, but like reading the book, the movie was a really good adaptation. So if you don't know anything about The Exorcist, it is about a girl named Regan who is being possessed by a demon, and her mother tries to get the church to help exorcise her daughter because she wants her daughter back and doesn't want this demon inside of her. It's basically what it is. I really liked it though. I remember that you got different point of views. Like some of it was from Chris, the mom. Some of it was from the priest who like did the exorcism and things like that. So, yeah, I really liked that book. I haven't read anything else by William Peter Blatty, but I really liked his writing style and I'd like to check out some more of his work. All right, now onto books that I did not read for a readathon. The first one was Rapture and Death by J.D. Robb. This is the fourth book of the In Death series. I think this one, I didn't look up the synopsis for this one because I can tell you what happens. Someone famous dies. Eve Dallas has to figure out who murdered them, and things happen along the way. That's what all of these stories are, which is fine. I liked them. I believe in this one, she and Rourke had gotten engaged, and so they were talking about they were like planning their wedding in this one. Spoilers, I guess. They fall in love, so obviously they're going to get married. And she's like, I didn't ever think I'd get married, and I don't know if I want to be married to you, and you're totally different than I am, but really we're perfect for each other. You know how that goes. So yeah, this is the last book in the series that I think I've read. And again, I think there's like 30 of them. So I just stopped getting them from the library and I just haven't read anymore. The next book I read was The Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. This is the first in the Magnus Chase series. This was actually a second try for me. I had started this book like 3 years before this, and for some reason just didn't get it finished before I had to go to the return it to the library. So when I saw it at the library, I picked it up. It is the origin story of the character for Magnus Chase. You find out that all of Rick Riordan's worlds are kind of like linked together. So Magnus Chase, Percy Jackson, the Kane Chronicles, I don't remember their first name, are like all in the same universe. And Magnus Chase dies and is trying to get into Valhalla, I think, because it's, Norse gods. I don't remember very much. He has to like travel through Midgard? No, we're Midgard, right? Earth is Midgard. He has to travel through and he meets a frost giant and stuff like that. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Percy Jackson. I've actually never read any of the other books for Magnus Chase. Eventually, probably I will. I just keep going back and reading Percy Jackson because I like those books so much. And I prefer Greek mythology over Norse mythology, and that's another reason I just haven't picked any of the other ones up. But if you like Rick Riordan's writing and you're looking for another series and you can get past, Percy Jackson, like I apparently can't, then check out the Magnus Chase books, because I did like the first one. I just, for some reason, never continued reading the series. The next book I read was The Push by Ashley Audrain. This is her debut novel, and I had been hearing about it all over YouTube and social media, so I checked it out, literally, because I got it from the library, as with most of the books I read. In this book, you are following a woman who has a child and does not connect with that child, and thinks there's something wrong with her daughter, that her daughter is basically like a sociopath, but no one else thinks there's anything wrong with her, and everyone else has a connection with her. Well, then the woman, I can't remember her name. I want to say Naomi, and I don't think that's it at all. She ends up having a second child, a son, and she immediately bonds with him. And so that causes even more friction, that she hasn't bonded with her daughter. She still doesn't like her daughter. Her daughter doesn't like her, but she's like, enamored with her son and super close with her son. So it's a creepy kid story. Those got really, really popular there for a while. Lots of creepy kid stories. I really liked this book. I gave it 5 stars. I read it super fast. I wanted to know what was going to happen. It was very shocking and thrilling, and I was highly invested, and I really liked it. The ending, I feel like some people think it was kind of predictable, especially the ending, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars, and I haven't read it again, but I'm sure if I did read it again, probably give it 5 stars again. The next book I read was Sealed by Naomi Booth. This is a book where I think it might be set in Australia. I think so. There is a virus going around the world that causes your skin to seal over. So, like, you get sealed in. So, like, your mouth gets sealed together and then you don't have a mouth, or your nose gets sealed together and then you don't have a nose. Anyway, a woman is, I can't remember if she was a reporter or a writer or something. She's very scared about this condition, and so she and her husband move to this super small town out in the middle of nowhere where the virus hasn't hit yet, and she finds out that she is pregnant. So then she's extra worried about it, because it's just a devastating virus and a devastating illness. And she's just scared that she or her husband are going to contract it. So they live in this small town. And then it's, getting used to small town life and stuff from there. Doesn't this book sound so interesting? I know you want to read it right now. It's just really hard to explain. I really liked this book. Again, read it super fast. I had been hearing about it on YouTube. I heard about it from Jordaline. I get a lot of my horror recommendations from Jordaline Reads. And I saw it at the library. I'd never seen a copy before and saw it at the library. So I put it on hold and I got it, and I really liked it. And it's a very creepy book, lots of body horror, but it's also pandemic horror. So it was creepy. I really liked that one. The last book I read in August was The Grip of It by Jack Gemme. I don't know how to say their last name. This is another book that I'd never heard anyone talk about. I have since I read this. I've heard Books and Lala talk about it. She's read this book too. I don't really remember a lot of this book. I did not like it. It is about a couple who buy a house and they're fighting, and then the house keeps changing on the inside, I think. But it's not changing the same for both of them. Basically, they're both going crazy and they're fighting, and they bought this house. I don't know. The premise sounds interesting. I was incredibly bored by this book. I did not like it. That's why I don't remember anything about it. Other people do like it. I know Kayla from Books and Lala. I know she liked this book. I'm pretty sure she gave it close to a 5 star. I didn't. I think I gave it a 2 or a 3. And I don't usually rate books that low. So did not enjoy this one. But But if you're looking for a haunted house story with marital drama, maybe check this one out. I don't know. Maybe you'll like it better than I did. And those are all the books that I read in August of 2021. So I read a lot of them. Not all of them were good. And that's the way it goes sometimes. So now I want to know, have you read any of these books? What did you think? All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.